Welcome to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. My name is Rob and I will be your host for this evening. So, it is the first Friday of the month. That means we are starting a brand new story here on the Friday Night Campfire Stories here every single Friday. So I am here with you this Friday to start my brand new story called Apparition. I don't want to give too much away. You find out a lot in the first chapter. So I think the best thing to do would be just to listen to the first chapter and see if it's something that would interest you. But I will say that it does follow Chaz Coleman, who is a paranormal investigator. Not just a paranormal investigator, he is the #1 world's best paranormal investigator. And we see him go through some trying times as trying to maintain that role as the world's #1 paranormal investigator. That's all I'm going to give away right now. Like I said, I would just recommend listening to the first chapter and seeing if it's something that you might have any interest in. This is the final story from my debut book, Whisper in the Shadows, that we're going to be covering here on the channel. Before next month, we'll be getting into my brand new book that just came out last week, A Perfect Journey Through Villainous Eyes. It is a collection of 6 anthology stories. We're no longer doing the short stories. It's anthologies. It's a much bigger book, a lot more detail, a lot more well written. So yes, if you are an avid reader, have any interest in reading thriller novels, then this is going to be the book for you. The link is down in the description below. You can get it on Amazon, either the paperback edition or the e-reader edition. But I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so let's get into it. This is my story, Apparition. Apparition, Chapter 1. Chaz Coleman adjusted his night vision camera strapped to his shoulder, the pale green glow casting an eerie shadows on the cracked walls of the abandoned estate. The air was thick with tension, each step echoing ominously through the narrow, dust-covered corridors. He had spent years investigating the supernatural, but something about this place felt different. It was the way that the hair on the back of his neck pricked the moment he crossed the threshold, the way the silence seemed alive, waiting. He walked into the Blackmore house, a sprawling, decaying mansion deep in the heart of an ancient forest. The estate was built in the 1800s by an eccentric, reclusive millionaire named Victor Blackmore, who became obsessed with the occult. It is rumored that Blackmore performed dark rituals in his secret chambers beneath the mansion, attempting to commune with spirits and otherworldly entities. Over the years, the house gained a reputation for its unexplainable tragedies. People who ventured too close often went missing, or were found dead under mysterious circumstances. The estate had been abandoned for over a century, but locals claimed to hear the screams echoing through the trees at night, the shadowy figures moving in the windows, and feel an overwhelming sense of dread when approaching the property. Inside the mansion, the walls were covered in faded, grotesque murals depicting nightmarish creatures and human sacrifices. The house seems alive, with floors that creak under invisible weight, doors that slam without reason, and a basement filled with cryptic symbols etched into the stone walls. It is said that no one has made it out of the Blackmore house after midnight. Those who stayed either disappeared or went mad. The grounds around the mansion are equally terrifying, with gnarled trees that block out the sunlight and a labyrinth garden filled with statues of twisted, anguished faces, as if they were frozen in their final moments of terror. An eerie fog clings to the estate year-round, adding to its sinister atmosphere. Some believe that Blackmore's attempt to reach the other side were successful, and the house is now a portal to something far more horrifying than death. Chaz walks around the mansion when he hears the shuffling of footsteps. He paused, listening. There, in the distance, a faint whisper. His hand tightened around the handle of his flashlight as he swung the camera towards the sound. He had been in plenty of haunted locations, but tonight, something was feeding off the darkness. Something that made even his seasoned instincts faltered. The whispers grew louder, and Chaz inched closer. The camera began to flicker, its light casting long, jittery shadows on the floor. He stopped dead in his tracks. He pulled out a spirit box, a paranormal device that uses radio to detect EVP and communicate with the dead. Chaz starts a spirit box session with faint noises that he can hear coming from vacant halls. "Can you tell me your name?" Chaz asks the spirit.
"Elizabeth."
The faint voice comes in over the spirit box. "Elizabeth, how long have you been here?"
"I don't know. A long time. I'm lost."
The spirit responds. "Why are you still here? Why don't you leave?"
"He won't let me."
The box utters out. Chaz begins to worry that he may be dealing with something more than just a normal spirit. "Who won't let you leave? Is there someone there with you?" he asks the ghost.
"No. He's watching. He's always watching,"
Elizabeth says over the device. "Elizabeth, who is watching? Is he here now?" Chaz says frantically.
"He's here. No. God, please. No."
Elizabeth is now terrified of what she is seeing in the afterlife. Just then, Chaz witnesses through his own eyes one of the most incredible moments in paranormal history. He raised his camera to capture the moment. In front of him, the air shimmered, warping the space like heat rising from asphalt. Slowly, the form of the figure began to emerge, translucent but unmistakably human, hovering a few feet above the ground. Chaz's heart raced as the temperature around him plummeted. He captured strange orbs, unexplained voices, but this was undeniable. The figure was of a girl, presumed to be Elizabeth, floating towards Chaz at a rapid speed.
"Save me, please."
The spirit cries out in person, not over the spirit box, before vanishing into the darkness. After Elizabeth disappears, a loud demonic-sounding growl is heard echoing off the walls of the mansion. Chaz was spooked, but determined to capture evidence. What he was hearing was the proof that he had become a paranormal investigator for. He couldn't back down now from what was happening. "Elizabeth, are you okay?" Chaz asked, worried for the ghost's safety. Nothing but static played over the spirit box, until after a few minutes, when a voice finally played through the device.
"She's mine now."
A deep demonic voice said clearly through the spirit box.
"You're next."
Chaz drops the piece of equipment, now fearing for his life. His theory was true. He was dealing with a demonic force, one unlike he had ever dealt with before. He feels something running from his face. He rubs his hands over the substance. It was his own blood. He turns the night vision camera around, looking at his face, and he is shown to have 3 scratch marks under his eye, each scratch side by side, a mocking of the Holy Trinity. The demon had taken Elizabeth and harmed Chaz. The investigator worried this was just the beginning. Chaz's hand shook as he picked up the device and stopped the playback. The voice on the spirit box was no trick of the wind, no interference. He had captured something real, something malevolent. His breath quickened, but he knew he couldn't back down now. People were going to be watching, waiting for him to uncover the truth of the Blackmore house. This was a chance to show the world that the supernatural was real. Gathering himself, Chaz adjusted his camera, its blinking red light reflecting in his face. He moved deeper into the house, the air growing colder with every step. The house groaned and whispered, its walls seemingly alive with sinister energy. Shadows danced just beyond the range of his flashlight, always shifting but never fully forming. Something was toying with him. He stopped in the grand ballroom, the decaying remnants of its former elegance reduced to dust and cobwebs. The air here felt thick, oppressive. His camera lens fogged up. As he wiped it clear, he noticed a chair slowly scraping across the floor on its own. It dragged, leaving marks in the dust. Chaz zoomed, heart pounding. Click. A light bulb swung overhead, swaying it without any breeze. The camera picked up a faint knock, then another, a series of taps on the cracked marble floor. He panned the camera, but saw nothing. Tension built as small things continued to move around him, objects just out of reach, just beyond his control. Then, the clock struck midnight. The sound echoed through the entire mansion. The walls trembled as the air itself seemed to distort, vibrating with some unseen force. Chaz felt a chill crawl up his spine, colder than anything he had experienced before. His breath turned into fog. As the temperatures plummeted, something was coming. From the corner of the room, a dark shadow materialized. It rose, forming the twisted, hulking figure of a demon. Its eyes burned red, glowing like embers, and his face was hideous mockery of a human grin. Wide, jagged teeth glinting in the darkness.
Welcome to your end, Coleman,
says the demon. Chaz took a step back, his hand steadying the camera as it captured everything. The demon lifted his hand, and with a flick of the wrist, objects flew across the room. Chairs, debris, and shattered glass hurled towards him. He ducked just in time, feeling the rush of wind as the objects crashed behind him. "You're not scaring me off," Chaz says in the bravest voice he can mutter. The demon let out a low, mocking laugh. It charged, its massive form thundering towards him. Chaz braced himself, heart racing, his mind flashing through everything he knew about demons. There had to be a way to banish it. He had faced spirits, poltergeists, even cryptids before, but nothing like this. As the demon lunged, Chaz pulled out a small vial of holy water he had brought. He splashed it in the demon's path. The creature recoiled, its skin sizzling where the liquid touched. It screeched in fury, thrashing, but Chaz held his ground. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a worn crucifix, thrusting it towards the demon. The air crackled with energy as the creature hissed, backing away, its form flickering between solid and shadow. Chaz made sure every moment was captured on his camera. "The power of Christ compels you," he screams as the demon shields his eyes before creeping ever more slightly towards Chaz. He knew he couldn't hold it off forever. He began chanting the exorcism he had memorized for just such an occasion, his voice shaking but determined. The demon growled in rage, throwing everything he could at him, tables, shattered portraits, even chunks of decaying wall. But Chaz dodged and continued the exorcism. The air vibrated with unholy energy, but the demon was weakening, its form unraveling, shrinking into the darkness. With a final ear-piercing roar, the demon exploded into a cloud of dark smoke, swirling through the room before dissipating into nothing. The house fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting from the air. Chaz collapsed to the floor, breathing heavily, his body battered and bruised. He dragged himself to his feet, gripping his camera tightly, and scanned the room. The mansion was still, the shadows retreating to their corners. It was over. He had captured everything. "That is how you face your fears," Chaz says into the camera. "You come prepared, you hold your ground, and you send them back to where they came from. I'm Chaz Coleman, and that is another successful investigation. Until next time, stay tuned for more of the world's darkest mysteries." The camera's red light blinked, and then... "Cut! That's a wrap, folks," the director yells out to the rest of the crew. The bright lights of set snapped on, revealing the illusion of the Blackmore house for what it was: wooden props, fog machines, and strategically placed lighting. Chaz sighed, rubbing his sore ribs, trying to shake off the impact of the quote-unquote fight. Crew members rushed in, dismantling the folks' walls, and the demon actor pulled off his mask, giving Chaz a nod. "Another day, another haunting," Chaz says hysterically. The cameraman laughed as Chaz wiped the sweat from his brow and the fake blood from his face, tossing the holy water vial onto the nearby table. All in a night's work. His audience had no idea what went into creating the perfect scare. Although this haunt was nothing more than an elaborate hoax, what was waiting for him in his dressing room was the real haunt of Chaz Coleman's life. The reality of his show had gotten leaked. That is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button and hit that subscribe button. I am on the road to 100 subscribers. I'm trying to get there by the end of the month. So your couple seconds that it takes to go down, hit that subscribe button makes the world of difference for me at least. As I stated earlier, my new book, A Perfect Journey Through Villainous Eyes, is available now on Amazon. Please check it out if you are able to or wanting to. It is 6 stories I'm extremely proud of and think that you really, really, really will enjoy. It's just all about just giving it a chance, I guess. But that is going to do it for today. I hope that you guys did enjoy. Click that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.